Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Trash Pirate event, in which the Quickpaw Jack is added to the game. So, let's get into that. Of course, he ends up being an epic rarity, which means he comes in with 2 arcanes instead of 1. So, good time to stock up on green and red if you need it for anything. Aside from Mythics, the main things you would use it for is Egg Thief earlier on in the game, and Yagway later on. As far as this troop, it is pretty useless. Bonnie Rose is better than it, Skeleton Key is better than it, and many other things is better than it. The other biggest thing that's really keeping this down, it ends up stealing 50 gold. There's 2 things that's really bad about this. One is it doesn't work properly. Stealing gold still, to this day, they haven't actually fixed yet. There's only one other thing that has that mechanic, and that is Bandit. But both of them do not function properly in that they don't even really steal the gold, even if the enemy has the gold. What's supposed to happen is, let's say they have 20 gold and it's trying to steal 50. What it should do is give you 20 gold, and then it would end up getting boost ratioed based on that 20 gold for 20 additional damage. But it doesn't actually do that. Sometimes it'll just do a little bit, sometimes it just does nothing, even if the enemy has gold. And there's no way to know if the enemy has gold, so for the most part, this thing is pretty much instant dead content, unfortunately, so not really worth using other than the fact that you get 400 extra gold per battle this week that you end up using them in both Explore and PvP. But other than that, I would completely ignore this troop. Bonnie Rose is a superior option, and yeah, there's basically no point in ever using this thing in any situation. You would either use Egg Thief or Bonnie Rose. Egg Thief if you want the same color and still have a gold boost ratio troop, or you would go down the route of Bonnie Rose, which is a superior version of Quickpaw. So yeah, dead content upon arrival. As far as the event-related stuff, we have, of course, 10% to all rogues, as well as 10% to all Blackhawk, which is pretty much the entirety of the kingdom. As I mentioned, we do get 400 gold for when using the Quickpaw this week, and that's about the only purpose he's really going to have. And this is for both PvP and Explore, so you have 2 different options that you'd be able to use it for. And other than that, we just have to kill a bunch of greens in PvP or Explore. You can simply do that in Forest of Thorns or in Explore, or you can simply just grind it out in PvP, given that it's only 300. Similar to all the other ones, it doesn't take too long to end up getting all of them. As far as event keys this week, they are somewhat good. There are a few drops that you may want to get. It is a week that you could skip, however, there are a few things that are worth considering. One is one of them that I was just mentioning. Bonnie Rose is basically like Skeleton Key, except it only hits one enemy, however, it's targetable on whatever you want. So it's just a gigantic boost ratio based on your goal to try to do a lot of concentrated damage to one target. So it has that going for it. The only other ones that are particularly relevant would have to be Kraken and Megavore. Kraken is a mid-range Devour option. Not one of the best, also not one of the worst, but it has some gem spawn into a Devour option. It also has some damage to all enemies and has some pretty good extra turn value. And other than that, mainly Megavore, which is the Mythic from this kingdom. While not the absolute greatest of Mythics, it does have an armor tier to all enemies. Ends up having a decent amount of true damage that has double of its magic. So if it currently has, let's say, 30 magic, that'd be 60 damage on top of whatever its base value is. And it even gets Submerge on top of all that. So it has a nice mix of armor tier, true damage, and Submerge. And of course it has the 8% instant kill, and it does have Impervious on top of that, which it's really random, but when it does get that, it is insanely good value whenever it is able to proc that. And that's basically it. Skyla is sometimes used for skull spam off one of her traits that she has. But for the most part, if you were to open up event keys, you would mainly be doing so in an attempt for Megavore or in an attempt for Kraken. And those would be the main 2 that you'd most likely want to focus on if you are going to open event keys. Definitely still fine to go and skip on them. As far as the event this week, we'd have Invasions, of course. We did end up getting a rogue weapon. I do highly advise getting it. However, as far as using it, not really too usable. As far as the weapon currently, rogues don't have 50% mana start, and there aren't too many synergies among rogues. It does create a bunch of blues and reds, which would be able to feed into Bonnie Rose and stuff like that, and Egg Thief and other similar things. However, no full team can really be developed out of it that would be worth using, so not really worth using for the most part, but definitely still make sure to go and get it, either through the Soul Forge or by buying the tiers, as it might be really viable if we ever get 50% Thief start. 50% a rogue start, Anyways, as far as the team to use for this, you'd most likely want to use Trickster Shot with some kind of mana generator into Red Charlotte, into Scurvy Sea Dog. Right now, I'm currently just using Phylactery just for the free souls, because why not? because this event troop this time around for invasions is so ridiculously broken. Basically, if you have 30 or more gold, you will instantly get all of her mana back every single time, and there's nothing on the opposing team that is going to reduce your gold once you get that gold. So basically, you just get a bunch of gold, and she one-shots everything, or at least, you know, does a absurdly high amount because she gets a 3 to 5 times boost ratio based on Ascension. So it is super ridiculously easy to tear out everything. So all we have to really do is just cast this. That gives us all of our gold. I'm currently using Thief just to give us that 5 gold to guarantee that we have all of that gold. Right now, we're going to want to have to go out of our way to kill this first slot. But of course, once we have 4 towers, we don't really need to worry about that first slot at all. So let's just take that, go for a nice explosion here, except where do all our greens go? Oh well, not that big a deal. Let's take a brown right over there. And, oops, did I not take it? Never mind. So we'll go and grab that. Take ourselves our other brown. And now we can just start getting all of our mana back. So as you can see, we have over 30 gold. So now we just do that. All of our mana back. Do it again. All of our mana back. Doesn't even matter if it kills. As long as you have 30 plus gold, you'll get all your mana back. And it's going to be so ridiculously easy. Literally everything will get that boost ratio because, well, everything will be a tower. And, yeah, you can use Trickster Shot there if you want something with more damage. You can obviously use something more like Titan with a bunch of barrier spam if you want to, or even Sentinel there just to make sure you don't die as easily. But for the most part, that's basically all you have to do. Wait until you have alignment on that, or just try casting on any board. And then just keep spamming this over and over again, and then you auto win. One-shotting everything, or two-shotting everything, depending on how deep you go. But that is basically all invasions is this week. It's probably the easiest invasions we have ever had. It's so good that this troop could potentially even be used outside of invasions, which I will be showing some teams for. But yeah, invasions, super cakewalk this week. So everyone should get all the rewards this time around, hopefully. Anyways, next order of business. Let's go over all these. Tuesday, we have Dark Pits. Wednesday, we have the Brown Mastery Pet. Thursday, we have Assassin Class. Assassin Class is pretty underwhelming for the most part. It's still the best hero class with Skull Spam. However, that doesn't get it too far. It has 10% instant kill off its final trait, but you don't really need EXP on it to be able to utilize that aspect of it. You just need to trade it. And this Friday, we are getting something pretty decent. We are getting a new faction. It's going to be the 10th faction, if I'm not mistaken, hitting double digits on the factions. Most relevant thing about the next faction is it's going to be bringing in a new troop that has a new legend that has 50% mana start to all elementals. So that's going to open up quite a few teams, the most noteworthy combination being Obsidious into the new legend, the Mirage Queen, because that will allow you to curse all enemies, since that Mirage Queen, that new troop that's coming out on Friday, will be the first option to curse all enemies. And then you just do that into Obsidious next turn, and then you just cursed and stunned all enemies, which basically means you have disabled every trait in the game except for Indestructible, including things like Impervious would not have immune to it. So it's going to be pretty potent. As far as the Mythics this week, we have a few that are worth going for. Of these 3, I would say Tina 9000 or sorry, these are the 3 that would be the most viable. But of these 3, Tina 9000 is probably the absolute most. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually the first time Tina 9000 has been craftable since she got buffed. There was kind of a shadow buff of her about a month and a half or so ago. Before, as you guys know, if any of you were using it when she first came out, she would sometimes overhit and overkill an enemy and basically waste 1 or 2 of her shots by basically hitting it on a troop that is already dead. However, about a month or so ago, they ended up fixing that so it no longer will waste any of its shots. So every single time, similar to everything else that has a similar ability where it does 3 hits, but now every single troop that does that, the most noteworthy one being Tina, have been fixed so that they will never waste any of their shots now. This was a gigantic buff to Tina since it no longer misses any of its damage. So really great true damage. Mythic has a really high amount of skull damage and does have that 50% spell reduction, which makes it the most viable troop that has 50% spell reduction at this current moment in time. So has a lot going for it. Definitely advise crafting. Other than that, there are 2 that are somewhat worth it. As far as Tina, it's mainly used for a lot of things. PvP, Guild Wars, you can use it in low-level delves. Wild Queen, you mainly use for PvP and Guild Wars. It's still one of the better attacking troops in the game. It is a Mythic, however, though, but it is for a 10-star kingdom, since you'll be able to get 1 attack off of Pan's Veil from owning this, if you are that far on stars. But it's not necessarily one of the first things you would go for, but it is pretty nice in Skull Spam teams. Really good on Green Guild War and any other day that you can really end up utilizing the green Skull mix that it has. And ever since they added its higher amount of spawn, it has been a lot more consistent in actually landing extra turns. Other than that, it also has a Bone Storm synergy into the fact that it also creates skulls, so it has that nice combination going for it. And other than that, of these three, the least relevant of the three, however, still somewhat relevant, Undyne. The next hero class, one of the main reasons why this is actually relevant, I don't know how good it's going to be with the next hero class. Next hero class is going to be a Merlantis hero class. So a Merlantis Merfolk hero class. So that's going to be coming in early June, I believe June 7th, the first Friday of June. So Undyne might be pretty decent with it. We still don't know exactly how well that's going to be going down, but this will be the last time you'll have to be able to craft him prior to that, so I figured I'd mention that. But yeah, next hero class is going to be a Merlantis Merfolk, so that could potentially have a lot of synergy with Undyne, and those are basically the only three that are worth crafting this week. So other than that, let's go over a few teams just messing with some stuff. And by messing, I really just mean messing, because most of these teams I don't think you would really use for the most part, other than the gold farm teams. But I did want to show this just because it seemed kind of interesting for an early game team. The Red Charlotte, as I mentioned, is actually viable outside of invasions. I'm glad to see they're starting to add more raid and invasion troops that are good outside of the actual game mode. But basically, we built this cheap team. Humility you just get from a few guild chests. Winter Orb of Winter you get from 250 wins on Frost Mage hero class. Frost Mage hero class you get for free from completing out the Glacial Peaks Kingdom all the way in the top, and completing out that kingdom. Set it as your hero class, get 250 wins. Get it fully traded by using an orange orb on the second and third one, or simply trading it if you have an excess of crate stones. And yeah, the main benefit for this is the whole premise of basically this team is it's a super cheap team that is based on the premise of we can constantly keep casting her over and over and over again. And of every single thing that you could possibly set on your hero, or even just in general, it actually has the most amount of benefit that you get from actually casting a spell. You end up getting one additional magic, as well as a 25% chance to freeze a random enemy every single time it casts, and does use that for a 5 times boost ratio as well, which ends up working out pretty nice. So it's basically the premise that we're going to be going for here. We just simply throw down the Leprechaun. We'll be able to use Humility to constantly keep gaining more magic in case we need it. You could do the same thing, just trade its first one and then use a small orange on the other two. If you're low on trait stones and don't have them. But basically, we'll just do this on blue. Actually, before we do that, let's go get us full mana. We won't even need to do it on blue. I'm also currently... Oh, wait, never mind. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we'll just go for the Frost Mage now. Or for the Frost Orb. So we'll get our 35 to everything. We have our gold, so now we can just start spamming this. We can try for a magic buff here if we want, so I am going to go try for it. Didn't actually get it. Of course, it's a 1 in 4 chance, so I'm not always going to be getting it every battle. I figured we tried at least once. But, of course, now all we have to do is just keep spamming down and killing everything. Get all of our mana back because we have over 30 mana. And just a nice little cheap team to get over damage down. And if you happen to have your... Oh, that's the thing I meant to say. If your Orb of Winter is maxed out, I believe on the final perk it has, ends up gaining enchant. So every single turn that we're doing here, we're automatically gaining 2 XP, or 2 mana towards it. And then we can just get it for a nice AoE and just kill it out that way. It's a really, really, really weird team. But, I don't know, if you didn't have much in early game, it seems like it could potentially be a pretty solid option. I know personally I won't be using it too much, just because obviously this late in the game, doing something like 30-something damage isn't necessarily too good. But it feels like it has a lot of potential, at least from early game, mid game. You needed to build something out of it. And this team is ultra cheap. You can get this within about a day or two, most likely, unless you get really unlucky with the Leprechaun drop. What do we take here? I need to get that to full mana. Speedball Leprechaun, I actually need that to be full mana right now. And unfortunately, we do not have an option for that. So let's move that for now. I need to get that to max gold in order to actually be able to use it. Throw that down. Did not get another freeze there, unfortunately, but we'll try for humility there. Just do it on blue. Try getting that magic buff, which we still haven't been able to get yet. But for now, we'll just throw down the Frost Mage. It doesn't have anything frozen, but that doesn't really make much of a difference. Oh, we did get a magic buff on it. Well, at least we got magic buff on something. Not exactly what I wanted it on, but it gets the job done. So now we just keep poking them down one at a time. And with that enchant, it will have its cast up again. But we won't even need it because we can just keep poking them, and that will be that. So, yeah. It's a really, really weird troop. But yeah, he just keeps getting his mana back. He just keeps spamming it, and he's going and going from there. Other than that, there was this one. I don't really need to go over it, but it's basically the same premise of what we're doing, just with some mythics. I do actually feel like this one, the cheaper one, actually ends up working more, or works out better. But there are like other teams that you can kind of revamp it into. We'll eventually need like a legend or a mythic that does some kind of similar mechanic to getting all of its mana back for it to really be viable, though, as her damage would probably be too low. But other than that, there is a gold farming thing I just wanted to mention real quick. Of course, as I mentioned, if you use Quickpaw on your team, you will get 400 extra gold in PvP. There's a lot of different teams that you can do in this. You can end up doing a Skeleton Key with it. You can end up using some kind of Yagway Queen of Tanya combo. But I figured I'd show this. Haven't showed this one particular lineup for a while, I don't believe. But the Bronze Luck Pistol Wardbreaker combo with a Leprechaun behind it. Pretty decent combo. Gets pretty much everything that you would need to get done. And all you do is just get your mana generator up, cast that Leprechaun, and just keep basically spamming Wardbreaker into Bronze Lock. And you can pretty much just keep that going. I think better not escape. I need that pet, or hopefully we'll have a good pet from it. I'll just do that down. Keep getting our Wardbreaker down. We'll end up getting a decent amount of gold. I don't think we're ever really going to even cast that. Normally in this team you wouldn't even bother casting whatever your last slot is because you wouldn't even need it. But we'll go and use the gold that we have been getting just to go and poke that. We'll just hope he doesn't randomly get a 5 times. He shouldn't. But we'll just take our skull right there. The last of our mana, throw that down again. Basically max out our gold, and then with Swordbreaker into basically dead, and we can just Bronze Lock Pistol poke. We're also currently using Dragon Guard hero class. The main reason for this is Bronze Lock Pistol burns the first enemy every time you cast. Right over there, flaming, burn the first enemy. And when this hero class is fully maxed, you have triple damage to burned enemies. So you can basically just one-shot everything that Wardbreaker is not capable of killing, and just do it that way. Every single time we do that, we'll end up getting 400 gold. And of course, it is possible to do it in Explore, and of course we get a useless pet. But let's go head over to Explore. Of course, Forest of Thorns being pure green, one of the better locations to try to find green. Of course, annoying Tina trying to block us of our goal of getting greens. But of course, it's using in some kind of quick cast team like a Sunbird Rowan, Sunbird with the prismatic orb thing, just with a quick fire bomb, anything like that. So working out really decently for Explore. Throw this down, get your hit. Normally it would be able to 2-shot. I don't think we'll be able to with a Tina there though. Annoying Tina trying to block our damage. But yeah, we're gonna need a whole nother Sunbird just to get that down. I don't think that prismatic will be enough. If it was Rowan or something, we'd probably have enough damage. But not without it. So we'll go for that, and there we go. But more often than not, we'd be able to get the 1-shot. Also, oops, I'm still using Warden right now on this. You would not want to use a hero class that has that 35% summon on Bandit. I can actually overwrite your Sunbird, which is not good. And with that Elemental Troop this Friday, this team would be able to get even better if you don't happen to have something like Forest Guardian, which you might see me using quite a bit on this team. And, you know, just defeats half mana to Sunbird. That will no longer be required. If you don't happen to have Forest Guardian, this Friday you'll be able to get the new the Mirage Queen, and that'll be 50% to all elementals. Of course, is one of the colors that Sunbird uses. It is also the element of Firebomb, or, you know, literally element. The typing of element, I should say, or the typing of Firebomb is elemental. So you actually end up getting bonus stats from that, and it's boosted by your Magma Pillar level, and it ends up giving you some HP, which will of course make Sunbird's damage even higher. So yeah, definitely would be really great synergy. And of course, just using that Quickpaw, free 400 gold every single time. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Definitely have a really nice event going on this Friday with the new faction. Highly advise getting that new Legends. Be a lot of fun to mess around with. And other than that, mainly just mess around with the new Rogue that we ended up getting, because he getting full mana every single time is just a really interesting mechanic. It's something I wish they would have done with Raven, and something I hope they'll do with a Legend or Mythic in the future, where you basically gain all the mana back and you could just kind of keep spamming it. I would wish it was more like an extra turn kind of concept and only did it conditionally, but having it every single cast is kind of interesting as well. Anyways, guys, I'll catch up with you later. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. Bye, everyone!